The question is from Thinking Focus.
Hi, I'm Ricky.
Hi, I'm Paul.
And today the question is, why don't New Year's resolutions work? So Paul, you and I have been talking recently about New Year's resolutions in particular, and I thought we'd do something a little bit different with this episode. You being our resident psychologist and all, you know, the expert, I wanted to get a psychological perspective to this. So talk us through what motivates people to make New Year's resolutions?
Oh, that's a really interesting question, isn't it? I think New Year, if you think about it, is kind of a reflection point. It's a change point. It's in the title, isn't it? It's a new year, and so we get this kind of idea of reinvention at these key times, and it's not just New Year. Some people might do it about birthdays. Some people might do it about the summer. You know, every summer you get these things that'll appear in all the magazines going, "Oh, get ready for your gym body, or your beach body for the summer." And it's these kind of key points. We see it in business. You know, when we talk to our business clients, they'll have a financial year and they'll go into a planning cycle. And, some of the customers we deal with, almost act like, well, you can only plan at the end and start of a year. No, you can't. You can plan whenever you want.
It used to be like that with appraisals and things like that. Personal development reviews, performance reviews. Oh, they're an annual thing, and then of course everyone goes, "Well, that didn't work because we found out we either missed or we went way over." And actually, having little and often probably is the way to go, isn't it? So
yeah. I mean, I think performance reviews are amazing, isn't it? Like, well, what we'll do is we'll let you do it wrong for 12 months. Then we'll tell you on one day, we'll talk about it for an hour and a half, and then we'll wait another 12 months to see if you got it or not.
And the worst is, even a month's too long. That's 1/12 of your annual goal.
So I think New Year's resolutions, just to stay on topic, because we could easily get drawn into the rabbit hole there. But New Year's resolutions it's just a really nice reflection point, because we stop, particularly in the Western world, almost everybody takes a break. And then we come back and we start anew.
Yeah, there's a natural reset, isn't there?
Natural reset. The downside of it is that it's not really true, because, the calendar is something, was it the Romans made up? I mean, it's not, New Year's Day isn't a special, unique, different day. It's, a Tuesday. And then it's going to be followed by a Wednesday, and, same rules apply. So New Year's resolutions are a really interesting thing, because it feels like we need to commit to new and change and reinvention, but actually it's a bit arbitrary.
So what contributes to the success or even failure is probably more pertinent of New Year's resolutions? Well,
most of them fail, don't they? Most people set them and don't keep them. And that's because they're setting something because they have a feeling of reinvention, a feeling of, I need to set something. And it'd be like, again, use a business example, because that's what we do most of the time. It would be like going, well, I've set a sales target for next year because I feel like I should, but I don't really mean it. I just feel like everyone's setting a sales target, and why wouldn't I?
And we've always done it.
Yeah. And I can go and tell all my friends that I've got a sales target. And you go, well, yeah, but are you serious about it? Do you really want to do it? So I think the reason New Year's resolutions work or fail comes down to, well, do you really want it? Are you serious about it? Are you prepared to do something to make that happen? Because a New Year's resolution is basically a behavioural change goal. In 99% of the cases, it's I want to be thinner. I want to be fitter. If I was going to say fatter,
you want to be fatter.
I want to be fatter. But enough of my goals.
but I bet there are some people that do need to put on a bit of weight. We've got one of our colleagues who's a bit scrawny. He needs to have a couple of Christmas dinners, doesn't he?
Or they might want to bulk up. I think, he's probably more health conscious. But it's a goal about, I want to change something about me. And my question to anybody who would come to me about it would be, all right, great, brilliant. Why New Year? If you're serious about it, why not today?
Yeah, what's stopping you? What have you been waiting for?
Yeah, I mean, it's that sort of question about, all the people who sign up for a gym in November so they can go in January. I mean, sign up for a gym in November and go in November. If you want to go to the gym, go to the gym.
Yeah, what are you waiting for?
Yeah, and I get that. Most people. We've had this joke before. Most people start a diet on a Monday. A large proportion of them end a diet on a Tuesday, but there are key moments where it feels easier to do these things. But it being a Monday is not a good reason to start a diet. Now, if it's convenient, if what you're saying is, do you know what, I do need to eat less chocolate, but I know I'm going to get given the load for Christmas, so I'm going to eat all that first. Maybe that's a justification to say, right, in the new year. But the risk with that is actually what you're going to do is overindulge on chocolate before you underindulge.
yeah. You're going to set the benchmark a little higher before you start, particularly if it's a weight loss or a fitness type goal, isn't it?
Let me. My goal is to give up on chocolate, but my first goal is to beat the world chocolate eating record.
Well, it sounds to me like you've been listening in on some of my wife and I's conversation about, yes, we'll start Monday. Yes, dear. That's been going on for 12 years, as far as I can tell.
Yeah, and it's a perfectly normal thing to do. So I think the key, why does a New Year's resolution work? Because you want it. It's an important goal. It's something you've thought about and planned for and considered, and that sort of comes back to the core thing, which is, if that's all true, then you know why you want it. If it's a fitness goal, why do you want to be fitter? Where does it fit in your life? Why is it important to you? Can you visualize and imagine yourself in that fitter self? Or are you just going, wow, I feel like I should? Because if I feel like I should, when it gets hard, you will not have the motivation or energy to continue.
Yeah, you're likely to give up quickly. So common mistakes. You've talked about, you've got to want it. You've got to have a strong reason, purpose for wanting to do this. What other common mistakes might there be around these things?
I think the biggest mistake that I've seen people make, and again, it's not about news resolutions, it's about any kind of reinvention, is that they just go too big. So they don't go, I'd like to be a little bit fitter. They go, I'd like to be an athlete.
I'd like to be Usain Bolt.
Yeah. Or I'm going to lose 10 stone, run a marathon, and only eat salads.
So it very much sounds to me then that you're angling around realism in terms of your aspiration or your goals.
Yes. I mean, I think one of the things with goals, to a certain extent, is have very few, but hold yourself to them. So don't have easy goals, have slightly challenging goals, but don't have too many. Because if you go, I'm going to lose weight, I'm going to change the way I eat, I'm going to go to the gym more, I'm going to join a running, it becomes overwhelming. And the problem is, if you link all those goals together, if they all become one thing, you only need to fail on one part of it, and then your motivation will drop and you'll stop doing all of it. So limit what you're going to in a really focused way. If it's kind of a health type goal, go, well, specifically, what is it about my health that I want to work on? You can get to Easter and add to it once you've got a habit.
So you use the term Goldilocks quite a lot in goal setting, don't you?
Yeah.
Talk to me about that.
Right. Well, there was these three bears.
That's a different podcast.
Yeah. So it is from Goldilocks and the Three Bears. It's the idea of, not too hot, not too cold, as in the porridge. When we set goals, when we think about stuff, we don't want goals that are way too hard, because we'll just get demotivated and stop doing it. We don't want goals that are way too easy, because we just won't try. We want goals that slightly stretch us, but we are in that sort of realm of, I believe I can do this. So that's the other thing about, if you're going to set a New Year's resolution, aim for something that's stretching but not impossible. So, if I'm just weight loss, I don't know why I keep coming back to that one, but probably because it's the one I should do.
And me, in fairness.
Yeah, but no one's doing a sponsored walk around you, so you're fine.
Stop it.
Anyway, if you go back to weight loss, if I kind of set a goal that said, I want to average a pound a week, I want to eat slightly better, slightly more healthier, do a bit more exercise, that's quite realistic. And I can always up it. I can always do more. If I set a goal where I'm saying, I have to do 3 1-hour sessions in the gym every week, the chances of me being able to maintain that from nothing are quite low. I'd need a huge amount of willpower and a massive amount of discipline and probably work to get out of the way and life to get out of the way. And I'm not saying you can't do that. There are people who absolutely, go from nothing to 100%. But all the ducks have to line up.
And I think that comes back to your very first point, which is they've got to want it. And if my desire is above all else that's going on in my life right now, then that becomes almost, single focus, and that's what I do. But that's rarely that's rarely the case for most of us.
Yeah, and it's got to be really high desire, high motivation. There's kind of a U-shaped motivation curve on most goals that we take, which is we start off at the top of the U, feeling highly motivated about doing it, and that motivation wanes over time, and then we get to a sort of a low point. And if the goal was really real and we have to do it, then the motivation comes up at the end. So you think about a project at work, you probably, any project you could think of, the project team or you in the project would start off feeling like, yeah, this is amazing. I'm in a new project. It's really great. Let me do loads of stuff. Then you kind of stop doing it over time and focus on your day job again. And then you suddenly go, oh, we're presenting this in 3 weeks' time and we haven't done anything for weeks now. And the activity rises up again. And I think that's true again with New Year's resolutions, that your motivation's going to wane.
That sounds like the business challenges we run with our clients, because they go, yeah, they're not really serious. And we go, no, we are. And this is what's going to happen. And they go, yeah, and then business takes over, and then they come back.
Yeah. So you go in a typical 12-week business challenge, you hand on heart, you go, most of the work is done in the first 3 and the last 3 weeks. It's a 6-week business challenge.
Yeah.
6 weeks off in the middle, in reality.
Yeah, you're right.
But I think the same is true with New Year's resolutions, that you're gonna be full of vigor and you're gonna go to the gym in January. And there is a date. I don't remember what it is, but there's a date. The gym companies know when the drop off happens. They can track of all the sign-ups when people stop coming, and it's probably like February, March time.
That's normally when the costs go down and the profit goes up, probably, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, they bank on it because lots of people, basically they don't build a gym for the January peak. They build a gym for the average, and except in January, it's going to feel overly busy. And that's kind of good because it feels like it's really motivating that everybody's at the gym and it's a social proof to what we do. But they're not kitting out for that, because that's a load of money they're never going to get back. They're kitting out for the fact that half these people are going to go. So that's the thing for me. The other thing I quite say, if you really want to make it work, is I love the sort of tiny habits approach to these kind of behavioral change goals, which is almost doing something slightly different and saying, let me set the goal really low so I cannot fail, but in a way that actually allows me to over succeed all the time. So a lot of this ideas and this work comes from a guy called BJ Fogg. I really love his work. I think it's amazing. And the example I think he gives in his book, if I've got it right, is press ups. So I think it's press ups. He wants to do more press ups, and so he links it to something else in his life, and that's another important bit. We'll come back to that in a second. But he's going to do 2 press ups, and so I think it's every time he goes to the toilet, he'll do 2 press ups. And it's not because he's aiming to do 2 press ups, because 2 press ups, why bother?
Can I just check? He's not doing those 2 press ups in public toilets, is he?
I believe, I'm sure I read somewhere or heard something that basically it's not at the shopping centre. It's just when he goes to the toilet at home or in the office. Where it's appropriate, I guess. But you get the picture. Maybe he is. Maybe he's doing them in the cubicle. I don't know. I'm not that across the material. None of that comes out in the book. But the point being is that to not do 2 press ups at the point you're doing it almost feels so ridiculous that you have to do it. What's the hardest press up you ever do?
The first one.
Yeah, because you have to get down and do a press up. When you're down doing 2 press ups, there'll be days when you're in an absolute rush and even 2 press ups is a complete pain. So you do your 2 and you go back to your meeting or you get on with what you're doing. But most days you're going to get down and do 2 and think, I might as well do 10 while I'm here. Somebody I was coaching recently who, from a business perspective, is a runner, hasn't done much running, kind of drops the habit. And what we've talked about is, they want to run 10 kilometers, for instance. We just talked about setting a goal to always run 1. And very quickly after that coaching session, they emailed me to go, this is amazing. I didn't want to run tonight, so I went out just to do the 1. So I hit my goal and I did 4. Whereas actually what I used to do was go, I won't do it today, I'll do it tomorrow.
Yeah, because I think you hit the nail on the head. The hardest thing is starting.
Yeah.
And if you can pass that, and like you said, make it easy, make it simple, make it absolutely achievable. And the temptation is 2 press ups, 1 kilometer, whatever that metric is. Once you're in, you might as well keep going.
Yeah. And more to the point is there are going to be days when you can't keep going because the world gets in the way, and it does, particularly if you've got a big job or family stuff going on or all the other reasons why the world might get in the way. It doesn't matter because you still hit your goal. You still did it, so you've maintained the habit. Because creating the habit for these goals is the key. It's not did you run 4 kilometers or 5 kilometers or did 2 press ups or 20 press ups. It's did you do it 3 times a week like you committed to? And that's the bit that's more challenging. So building it in a way that you can maintain the habit is the fundamental key to success. And all the things that you can do that help you do that, like setting a goal that you know you can always hit, like being prepared for it. So there's a lot of research in the literature talks about driving motivation from preparedness. So running, classic example here, it's really easy to explain. If you think you might get up in the morning and go, oh, it's really hard, get all the running kit out. Kind of do 80% of the work of the getting going bit when you're not going. So your brain isn't going, oh, should I do this? Should I not?
Oh, I've got to get my kit, got to get my trainers.
So just get all of that ready so you can crawl out of bed and just slip into the running gear and go. You're more likely to keep the habit up.
Okay, so that gets us going, that keeps us going, but I'm just not feeling it. I've got to the point, I've had a tough day. I've just been traveling. I really can't be bothered to do this. And so I skip. So I fail.
2 bits here, right? Don't see goals as black and white in terms of activity. See them as a destination. So you think about, go back to the New Year's resolution. The tactic is I'm going to go out running 3 times a week, or I'm going to eat healthy meals. But that's not the goal. The goal is lose weight or get fit.
Or get in my new costume or whatever, outfit, whatever it might be.
So don't confuse the goals and the tactics. Missing a tactic, that's just a step in time, a point in time. You can just go, right, I missed today. Doesn't matter because I'm still committed to the goal and I'm going to pick myself up, dust myself off and go again tomorrow. So very often we confuse the tactics as goals. We go, the goal here is I'm going to go to the gym 3 times a week. Oh, I didn't go last week at all. I'm failing on my goal. No, the goal is to get fit. And if that tactic's not working, you can redefine the tactics. You can try a different way. You can down the goal, up the goal, do something slightly different. Maybe not go to the gym, walk the dog for longer, go for a long walk with your partner, change the time of day. All of those things. You can tweak the tactics as much as you like. That's not failing. Failing genuinely is giving up on the goal because the tactic you've got isn't working and you can't be asked to change it. So
you've got to reset the priority order then, haven't you? It says, a tactic is a means to an end. It's the end I really care about.
Yes. And it comes back to, if you're going to set a New Year's resolution, know why you're setting it. Know what it is you really want. Because if you know that, you've got a nice anchor in the ground that when it gets hard, you can go back to and go, all right, this isn't working for me. Whatever I thought the tactics were, don't work. Don't work because I got them wrong. Don't work because the world has changed. Doesn't really matter. I'm allowed to change my mind if I'm serious about the goal.
Yeah, don't be too hard on yourself, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah. So mate, okay, this is a personal one that I've had before. You set a goal and you go, I need to lose 2-3 pounds a week. And then suddenly our work changes and I'm traveling all the time. And actually losing weight when you're traveling is really hard because you lose a lot of control about where you eat and when you eat if you're in hotels, and particularly if you're in events where the food is provided for you or you're eating with people. But that doesn't mean I can't, focus on my goal. It just means that my tactics have to radically change. And maybe I have to accept for that period in my life, £3 a week's unreasonable. But actually, I never want to put on weight, or I'm going to go for £1 a week, or I'm going to have to be much more disciplined at the weekends than I am in the week. It doesn't matter what the tactics are. If they're driving you towards your goal.
So be purposeful, I suppose, is what you're saying here, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. So you've talked a lot about, purpose. You've talked about tiny habits, and I really like that. In fact, I've covered that in a recent video that I've done on our YouTube channel. But also, how does social support influence the success of our New Year's resolutions or goals in particular?
That's a good question, actually. So we are more likely to do goals that we talk to other people around, that we make public commitments around. The reason for that is all of us kind of want to be the kind of people we tell people we are. If you make a public commitment around a goal, it's probably going to increase, and I say probably, I'll come back to where it might not work. It's probably going to increase your motivation to do that goal. And the caveat to that is about picking the people you make a public commitment to, because you want to make a public commitment to people who, A, you care about and care about what they think about you. Right. So just telling a stranger in the street you're never going to see again isn't going to make any difference.
needs to be somebody at least who might hold you to account.
Yeah. And B, is going to be supportive of you. So is going to care enough to help motivate, to keep you on track, to pick you up if you have a bad day and go, look, don't worry, we'll work on it tomorrow. The worst thing to do is to pick somebody, and I think of this, I could think of a couple of friends where, you go to them and just because of their personality and the type of people they are, they would kind of make it into a bit of a joke, particularly if the goal didn't align with their value system. And so just be aware of that sometimes you can make a public commitment to somebody and actually, because it's out of line with their value system, they might inadvertently put pressure on you to go away from the goal. Does this kind of make sense? I don't know.
No, it does. I think I was just trying to think of an example where,
I think a classic example, if you go, I want to drink less, and all your friends are big drinkers, and you go out on a Friday night, actually going to your friends and going, right, in this year I'm going to drink less. I'm not, they've got a vested interest in going, don't do that, because we want you to come to the pub on Friday nights with us, because we like pub on Friday nights. And so you've made a public commitment to a group of people whose it's in their interest to sabotage you out of love.
And they're making that they're putting that peer pressure on, because they're going, oh, look at you're choosing that and not us, and all of that stuff. So,
but if there's somebody else in the group who is getting a hard time because of the amount of drinking they're doing and also wants to give up, actually maybe that's the person that you agree with, and then you build strategies together. Because doing it together, doing it with social support is always better. Having somebody to help, somebody to talk about things with, somebody to pick you up when it gets hard. I mean, I always think, exercise, for instance, if you're running with somebody else, the reality is there's going to be days when you don't feel like it, but you do it because they've turned up and gone, come on then.
Yeah. You feel it's that public commitment. I've said we'll go running together, and then to suddenly opt out doesn't feel like you're that committed, and therefore plays to that public commitment, that congruence that you talk about.
It's also, harder not to go running at that point. If they're standing at the front door in their running kit,
in the kit,
in the pouring rain, going, I'm ready, and you're sitting there, with your tea on your lap, going,
and your slippers on.
Yeah. So you kind of, again, it's like you're building in kind of strategies to kind of help you maintain the habit and help you maintain the behavior. And the longer you can do that for and get through this kind of motivational hump of the dip, probably.
Dip. Yeah, it's definitely a dip. It's not a hump.
Definitely dip. Well, it depends which direction you're looking at from my side.
That's not a you then, is it?
Yeah. But yeah, I forgot what I was saying there. You completely thrown me.
Well, look, I think where we've got to is some really, really interesting ideas, some really interesting observations, and some great guidance and advice here. Let's kind of summarize this with 3 practical things you would recommend our listeners focus on if they want to stick to their New Year's resolution.
I'm going to start with not a practical thing, but just an absolute requirement. If you want to do it, really want to do it. Don't pick it because you feel it's the right thing to do. Do it because you want to do it. Now I'll get to my 3 practical things. Be really focused on why you're doing it. Know what your underlying motivation is.
Okay.
Set tactics goals or habit type goals, the behavioral stuff of what you're going to do differently, to make them really small and doable so that you maintain the habit. The most important thing you can do is build the habit of the new behavior. If you're exercising more than you were yesterday and you're doing it all the time, you can build on that. If you're running 1 mile, you can always up that to 2 miles. If you're not running, 2 miles is much harder.
Yes.
Yeah. So that tiny habits bit. And the third is, be focused, do 1 or 2 things. And when they're habits, add 1 or more, or, add 1 or 2 more things to it. But don't try and do everything all at once, because the more you try and do at the same time, the more chances are one bit of it will go wrong and all of it will fall down.
Brilliant. Sounds like some superb advice there. Thank you, Paul. And we'll see everybody next time.
Next time on The Question Is.
Now, when we're coaching at a sort of managerial executive level, what we're really doing is helping somebody reflect in a very structured way. The skill of the coach is to be an expert, to go, there's 100 things you can reflect on, but I can already see that these are the 1 or 2 areas that will have the biggest impact.
To find out how Thinking Focus can unlock the potential within your organization, go to www.thinkingfocus.com, where you'll discover more about the work we do, helping our clients increase productivity and enable change.